evening. We are back for our DJNTV training night here. This is the March show, which is generally the third Monday of the month. And tonight we're going to be talking to a variety of folks tonight, talking about taking care of you, the importance of keeping your physical self healthy, keeping the mental side healthy, and just really being in a good position to be able to succeed. And my first guest tonight is, I've got Stacie Carroll with me. Good evening, Stacie.
Hello.
Thanks for being on tonight.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
When I started thinking about putting tonight's show together and talking about that people are out there and keeping themselves healthy and fit so they can perform at a high level, your name was like one of the top on the list tonight. So
Awesome.
I was glad it worked out that you were able to be able to join us tonight. So first off, Stacie, let's kind of talk about a little bit about how the importance of in your life, being able to keep yourself physically fit to be able to do the things that you do. I mean, how do you get yourself motivated to do that?
So, and you can cut me off if I'm like too much of a long story, but so I started getting into the whole working out and healthy lifestyle when I was about 12 years old. So growing up, I didn't really know a lot. I knew, desserts and things were bad for you, but that was during like the 90s snack wheel. So as long as something was fat free, you could eat as much as you want. So you could eat like a whole box of cookies, but because they were fat free.
Yep.
I had no idea about anything about that. And then when I was around 12, then I got one of those Paula Abdul dance fitness tapes we rented from Blockbuster.
I think my wife has that one.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
It has like choreography to YMCA and like random things on it. And I was like, I need to like get control of my health, and I started drinking a bunch of water at that time, and so I've just from there, working out had just been a part of my life. So you go to the gym or you exercise every day. It's not something that I'm like, oh, I have to motivate myself to. It's just like, if I don't do it, it would seem strange to me. Just like you go to sleep every day, you have to put on clothes and do your normal things. Like that's part of it. So it's always been from, by that time in my life, it's always been part of it. And the eating healthy thing, it's hard to do, but you have to kind of like, I think like I go through phases of more indulgences, and then okay, I've got to get back on track. I think the eating is so much harder than the working out part.
And let's focus. Let's sit in that area for just a little bit, talking about the eating and dietary things, because as kids, as you mentioned, we can be a little more lackadaisical with our diet, and it doesn't affect us as much as it is once we get past a certain age. It starts to catch up on us. How, in a busy lifestyle as a DJ, when you're out there performing, how do you keep that diet in mind and try to keep and eat as healthy as possible?
So for me, I am a very like high level, anxious, stressed out person. So I don't eat at all whenever I have an event, because I'm too stressed out.
Sure.
So I don't have to worry about like eating. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I have to have the meal, and like, no, I don't want to eat until after it's over. Now, after it's over, that's the hard part, because then, especially if they give you like a box of food that you're taking home, they give you a box of cake to take home, and you have all of this stuff. And then once it's over, then my stress goes down, and then I'm starving. So I take like a protein shake with me and protein bar. I have like the little bags of the veggie chips. So I try to kind of eat a little bit throughout, just so I'm not starving, and then moderation on the other things. So it's important to enjoy life, but again, moderation is just the big thing.
And I think that there's a lot of us that have that before the butterflies in the tummy. So I don't think I want to eat. I'm not going to eat dinner with everyone because of that. And then we get done, and there's that gas station right across the street from the hotel. It's like, I'll microwave that whole row of burgers. I'll eat them all.
Exactly.
and that becomes really, really stressful. And it takes a real discipline to not go and do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what having those kind of high protein things throughout helps to not be so hungry after that it's over. Because like for me, where I am so stressed and I don't want to eat, then you are starving because you haven't eaten all day. So of course you're going to be hungry. Like that would only be natural. So like force yourself something a little bit. If you're not someone that eats a lot, to do a little bit of the protein thing throughout, so you're not binging later.
So you have a family. You've got husband, children. I mean, there's more than just you when it comes to mealtime. How do you balance eating healthy for the two adults in the room with when you have children who are going to look at some of the things you might want to eat and say, no, I don't want that?
It is really hard, especially because we all have different dietary restrictions and everyone has different taste palettes. Like my husband cannot have any dairy, my daughter cannot have any nuts, and my oldest son's favorite food is like Italian type things. My middle son, he hates Italian stuff and loves Mexican, where my oldest son, he hates Mexican food. So it's like, what in the world do I fix? I feel like the only thing I know to make is like Mexican or Italian, and everyone hates it. It's like, what do I do? So it's hard, but you have to just. I always try to like figure out different things, and I have tons of different grocery apps on my phone, and I ordered a lot of stuff, and so we have and I don't know if I'm not going to promote this as parenting advice by any means, but we do the whole like you don't have to eat what we serve for dinner, but that's all that there's going to be to eat. So if you're hungry, you can eat this. If you don't like it, even if you hate it, I'm not going to force you to eat it because, I understand you don't like something, but that's all that there's going to be. I'm not going to fix something else.
Yeah. Yeah, we went down that road with our children, especially as Lori and I have tried to have a healthier diet. So we're making more chicken and doing more of that type of things. And the kids were good for about the first couple of times, and then they start to this again. We're having a salad again, and it gets to the point. Okay, this is what's made. And our methodology is this is what's made. Nothing else will be cooked tonight. If you don't want this, there's peanut butter over there and there's bread over there. Have at it. Because
I do a lot of cheese sandwiches for my daughter. That's just so she can't do the peanut butter, so it's all the cheese sandwiches.
Yeah, but
I understand.
The nuts wouldn't work. Yeah, but that was fun.
Yeah.
So you do. You mentioned that you have protein drinks and such. What are your thoughts on because this last night on American Idol, Katy Perry had a bunch of vitamins and different things she took, and all of a sudden I saw like a half a dozen of my friends, and I didn't realize I had this many American Idol followers on my friends list. They're all talking about vitamins and supplements. What are your thoughts on it? Has that been something that you have used in your life and used to keep take care of that, manage your health?
Yes. Again, so I want my warning, like this is not doctor advice, but I love having an appetite suppressant because I've always been like a binge eater, and like I want to eat a lot of food at one time when I get hungry. So having an appetite suppressant has helped me, but again, that's probably frowned upon in some circles. But it makes me feel better. It has that caffeine that gives me energy, and vitamins. I think a lot of the problems that we have, different things, can be solved with vitamins. I don't take them as much as I should. I have several different, my cabinet's full of vitamins that I'll go through like a series. So I have a lot of right now I have an undiagnosed autoimmune disease. I'm getting in with a rheumatologist in May, but I was looking up a lot of stuff. I was like, do you take vitamin D? And then the vitamin D is too much. You have to have vitamin K to counterbalance it. So I started taking that, but then it gets too much pills, and then I stopped taking it, and it's hard to tell exactly. There's so much of like, I'll do it for a while and I stop, and do it for a while and I stop, but I probably have like every vitamin imaginable somewhere in the house. But, so I mean, they definitely can help you. Some of them may not be effective, but a lot of the time if you can get it in your diet, that's probably the best way. But that's not necessarily feasible for most people. So if you can't get in your diet, then definitely, you can look for the pill form. But I know it, but I don't follow it.
So you mentioned, of course, that you said Randy is lactose intolerant.
Well, so we're not sure exactly what it is. It's not lactose intolerant. It's like an allergy or an intolerance to milk fat. So He can have non-fat, like he can have non-fat Greek yogurt. He can have a non-fat buttermilk. If you have something with a non-fat to it, then it doesn't bother him. But things like cheese, where like a high fat product, it really bothers him. So I do all like almond cheese, which the kids hate, but we just don't tell them it's almond cheese, and then they like it a little bit better.
It's like, oh, yay, cheeseburgers. Yeah, it's not the right cheese. So in a situation like that,
almond cheese is good. I really like it, but
I don't think I've ever had that. I'll have to find that. Give that a try. But the lactose intolerant is something that, as I myself have aged, has become a thing. So then you start, okay, you take dairy out of your diet. Well, now you need to supplement, as you were referring to, vitamin D, and I could think that in case of what he's probably experiencing is similar, is that he needs to make sure he's getting some of those nutrients and vitamins from somewhere. I would think.
Yeah, and also the B vitamins are good for your energy, and so he's kind of the same as me. Like he'll go through phases of the different vitamins and stuff. But pretty much the only like regular thing we do is like a pre-workout. I don't even know what vitamins are in it, but something just to give you that energy in the morning, and that's all we're doing right now. But we've got the others two different times. I have like a whole big fancy pill box, and I've gone through and like done the different stuff from like from early morning, mid-morning, afternoon, evening. You can fill them up with pills.
Oh yeah, there's so many things out there.
It's so hard to do. And
yeah,
like I have to get super motivated to do it. But
yeah. As you say, there's so many of them, and then I look at my older parents and such who are to the stage where they need to be taking vitamins 6 times a day because for survival. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't even take vitamins once a day on a regular basis. What's going to happen when I get older? Oh, crazy. So you mentioned the pre-workout. Let's kind of dive into the workout side now.
Yes.
Now, kind of give us a workout week, or how you handle your workouts, like in the course of a week in which you would be doing a Saturday event.
So for me, and everyone is different. So some things that I love, other people hate, and other things, and I've realized this in my gym environment, things people love, I hate, and I feel like an odd man out with it. But so it's like I always encourage people to find what you like, because there's probably something out there. For me, I like having a group environment that's like telling me what to do and how to do it, and it helps motivate me to work harder with someone else kind of pushing me. I would like having a personal trainer. I've had different personal trainers, but it's so expensive, and so I don't really feel like it's the best thing for a family spending all that much money on a personal trainer. But so what I do, I go to Burn Boot Camp. So I go to it 5 days a week. Every morning I drop the kids off at school, and then I go straight to the 8:30 boot camp class. And I don't love everything about it, but I feel like it's the only thing that is here where it's consistent, that it's an encompassing workout. So you have strength that works every body part on different days, and you have cardio. A lot of gyms that have group fitness classes, it's always total body workout. You don't need to do a total body workout every day. You need to focus on different muscle groups on different times. So I do like that element of boot camp.
Can you give me an example of when you're talking muscle groups like that? Now, I've never health clubs out here in central Minnesota in a rural area. Yeah, we were in farm area, so our health club was picking up bales of hay and throwing bales of hay. So
that's awesome work. That is a good workout.
It is a good workout, but so tell me when you're talking specific muscle workouts, what are they doing? Like, give me an example, please.
So also what I like about boot camp is I'm very ADD. So I need things moving quickly. I cannot stand doing something for a long period of time, and I don't have a long attention span, and I need something continuously changing. So every workout with this boot camp class is something different. So I don't ever get bored because it's different every day. So they'll do, in a lot of different workouts, they'll do kind of something similar to this, but you might have a bis and tris day, chest and back, or you'll do maybe a push-pull day. You'll do a leg day, maybe a glute back or ab, or different, for kind of like different body parts, so you can focus on specific parts. You're not just trying to do a little bit of everything where you're not going to really work on it a lot. And then also different cardio things. So if you'll be doing some kind of shorter intervals, and then different a lot of intervals. So that's what I like. Because for me, I'm like a 30, 45-second max is what I can, and I'm like weird there. I don't follow everything. If I don't like something, I'll do something different. So 30, 45 seconds is like the max that I want to do for the same move, and I'll change it to something else. And I also like for it always to be in beat to music. Nobody's in beat to the music except for me, but the music they play there is always like DJ mixes. So that was one of the things that I really liked about it. So it's continuous music, and I do it all in beat to the music, even when nobody else is. But that's what I like for myself. But,
So the classes, how long are the total classes when you're involved with things like that?
so the boot camp classes are 45 minutes, but I always do 2 workouts a day. So if it's a cardio class, then I will do. We have like a little tiny gym by our house that our family has a family membership to, and so I go there and do. If it's and kind of if they give us like a week schedule at boot camp. So if I know I'm doing like legs later, so like today we had a push pull day for upper body, so I did like a little bit of legs and then I did elliptical. So just kind of balance it out, since I knew that I wasn't going to be doing legs tomorrow, and so I'm not doing like the same thing every day.
So,
but I always
go ahead.
Oh, go on.
Are you doing something then pretty much 5 days a week? Then is that your goal?
Yeah. So 2 workouts a day, 5 days a week, and I would go on Saturdays, but the latest class is 9, and I like to sleep until like at least 8:30 or 9 on Saturdays.
Yeah, especially when a person's
go to it.
Yeah, when you've got an event coming up too, that would be difficult. So you mentioned, of course, the liking the change up, the ADD type thing, and 45-second intervals it fits you very, very well. Have you done some things at the house that have been successful to that? You could use that as a part of your workout, or is it just one of those things that being by yourself as a more of a social person just didn't work?
So, well, obviously during all the early COVID stuff in 2020, we were all at home, and even before then, I've done a lot of the beach body workouts. They had, it's called, there's another, it's like some type of HIIT workout, like it's like a live, I can't remember, but there's lots of different workouts on there. So I really enjoy the beach body programs. If I could have like those type of classes with other people, then I would do better. Having people around me for some reason just makes me work harder. I just get energy from the other people with me. So it's hard for me with just by myself. I don't have the same motivation. But the beach body classes are great if I just had other people.
Sure. No, I understand completely. Yeah. For some people who are like that. And some people are the opposite. They get into a room full of people.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I say, like, I could love something and you're going to hate it.
Yeah.
So you have to find what works for you.
So keeping yourself active and doing the workouts like you do. I mean, there's obviously going to be seasons of life, a stretch where your workouts, you maybe had to miss a few here and there. And have you been able to see a difference in your abilities on Saturday night to be there and to be going when you're able to be in your workouts, or those times when the workouts have just kind of slid to the side a little bit?
Yeah. So with the workouts, it does help definitely to give you more, I'll say, strength for loading the equipment. And so I won't go as far as saying I like setting up equipment or tearing down equipment, but I'm like obsessed with my Apple Watch and like my calories that I've burned. So
Yep.
I do it. Like, this is the weightlifting workout. So I'm like, I'm going to do it. People are like, oh, good. It's like, no, I'm like, that's fine. Like I'm burning the calories.
Yep.
So I'm very calorie motivated, which I know that's probably not the greatest thing, but so that helps with that. But then just having the energy to be there, and it's like I'm not getting winded doing certain things, or so it just helps. It helps for all aspects, or from lifting the equipment to just having the length of the time, because it does very tiring for events, especially like there's some events that are just very high energy, and I feel like it's a cardio class. I'm like, I I can't do like 3 or 4 hours. It's like 3 or 4 hours of like high cardio. Like, that's a
Yeah.
lot. So having a stronger cardio helps with that if you want to be, not just sitting and doing your music, but really, dancing along. And so it's like you're doing Zumba for 4 hours or something. So
Yeah, but I know what you mean there.
mm-hmm.
Talk about a little bit when you're able to do the workout, you're going to, and you've had a couple of good weeks and such. How does that help keep the mental side? That to keep you mentally sharp and such a little bit. Talk about that if you could.
Yeah. So with it, I never, but I never not work out. Like I have to work out. I've never met. The only time I didn't work out was maybe like the first few days of like giving birth or something. And I was like right back into it. So it's like if I don't work out, I just feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always have a good workout, but I have to be doing moving of some sort, even if it's just walking or doing just like little leg lifts or something else. Even if you're injured, times I've had surgery, it's I have to be moving, and then having that little calorie motivator, which is again it's like a toss up if it's good or bad for you, but it mentally just helps me feel better to know that I'm moving. And then stretching is also very important. So a lot of people kind of miss out on the stretching, but when I don't stretch, I just get very, very tight and stiff. And I think a lot of the pains that we feel are tied to another part of our body. So I've had a lot of back pain, and then I found out it's because I have hip problems. So doing a lot of hip stretching has helped from alleviate the back pain that I had, which I would have never even thought of that. So then all that's tied to the autoimmune thing. So knowing that my hips get very inflamed, I have to like really focus on extra stretching and extra hip mobility exercises. And that, for some reason, that's why your back is sore.
Right.
So there's a lot of things probably like you think, oh, this hurts on me. My back hurts because I have back problems. Well, then maybe your back hurts because you have hip problems, which is not like you wouldn't think that normally. So like thinking, like if you have something, what's it tied to? So like a lot of maybe you have shoulders because you have something, like a wrist problem. For doctors have said something like it's all tied different ways. So learning what causes certain things and just making sure that you stretch, and that's a big thing too.
Let's actually talk a little bit about the stretching side of it, because I think that's an area which, when you watch a lot of these workouts, they talk about that, but sometimes they just jump into the workout and there's really no minimal warm up, or the warm up is like, kind of talk about how would you incorporate stretching into your workouts and different things with that?
Yeah. So pretty much any workout, any commercial workout, it's not going to have adequate stretching. So you're going to have to do that on your own and finding out what your body responds well to. And so if you find out, if you look up, I really just go to Google or something, if you have where you have pains, and see what could be causing those pains, and then look up stretches for that area. So like for me, like my hip exercises and hip stretches, that's what really helps for me. And so it's really nothing that you're going to, unless you, even yoga classes. I mean, I've never really been a fan of yoga. It for my body, it didn't really do a lot for me, and it was very slow and very boring, and it wasn't a good stretch for me. I don't know, but so like I said, everybody's different.
Yep.
So.
Exactly. Yeah, that's interesting. And my children have gone, and they've gone into the college level with sports. And in high school, they were teaching the stretching before, and a lot of stretching before during their warm up. In college, there's a different type of warm up that they do, and then they do their stretching afterwards. So it's just, there's so many different thoughts and such on that. And I think that's an area.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an area that we overlook way too quickly and such with that. So one last area, and then we're going to have to wrap up here, is incorporating the family into the exercise and these things. How do you incorporate the family, or how do you get them to be excited to kind of live a healthier lifestyle?
Yes, so that's my thing. Like, I want to incorporate healthy lifestyles, and I also don't want to create trauma in my kids. Like, I'm trying to be like, "Oh, you're fat. You need to lose weight." They're gonna be like, "Oh, that's I'm like." I mean, I'm not saying that to my kids at all,
Yeah.
but I always see these videos like, "Oh, my parents were like always trying to get me to lose weight," and then it caused all these issues. And so I never want to do that to my kids, and I want to just so my oldest son, he's really into sports, and so he does is more active. So we have the family membership to the gym, which we don't utilize a whole lot. So I really need to use it more. But it's it's kind of a fine line of like wanting to encourage healthy habits, but you also don't want to cause issues where they're it's hard. I don't know how to answer that. Like there's not a good answer. Like I struggle with that because it's and stuff like this is probably maybe inappropriate. I don't know, but I heard my daughter playing the other day, and her dolls were saying, "Oh, I need to go to the gym, like do more cardio because I ate too much," and that made me feel so horrible. So I'm like, maybe like I've said something about that. Like I've never like told her that she needed to do that by any means, but it's just kind of like society that says like, "Oh, you have to do this," and so it's like I want them to be comfortable in themselves, but to encourage it's hard. I mean, if I had to say a good word of advice would be just like to say this is healthy things. This is what is good for your body, and you choose and do with that what you will. And I think that's kind of like all we can do. We can't like force our kids to do it. But you want to like make them like this is a good choice if you want to choose it.
And I think that's a great way to say it. Is this is a good choice, and here's what benefits I have seen from my personal doing of it. And hopefully, this is a modeling thing. I think really more than not that modeling as you're referring to that I need to go burn calories because I ate too many chocolate chip cookies, whatever. Not that, but the idea of when I'm healthy and I'm active, I feel better and I can do more things with you as a child. I think that's a great way to do that.
I agree.
Yeah. Stacie, our time is up. Thank you very much for coming on tonight and sharing a little bit about your story and such. And hopefully you guys out there kind of picked up a couple of things and we're going to be going from Stacie, who likes that social aspect of it. And I think Mike coming up next is I think he's an individual workout.
If I have time, I went running with Mike one time, and he like left me in the dust. He's so fast.
I know. I know. This is one of my goals, and Mike, I'm going to talk to Mike about this. Is my goal after this knee surgery is I want to get back into the gym running enough that I can go run with him at one of the DJ shows. So
I will never be that good as him. So I'm giving up.
That's my goal, and we'll see what happens. So again, Stacie, thanks for being with, gang, and we'll be back here in just a couple of minutes. We're back for session number 2 tonight with Mr. Mike Walter. Good evening, Mike.
How are you, John?
I'm doing well, doing well. It's good to be on a show with you, man. It's been like a long time.
Yeah. Can I go back and talk about what Stacie just said about me? I did not leave her in the dust. And after you went to commercial, she admitted, oh yeah, I waited for her. She was slower, but I did not leave her in the dust. So, especially if her husband was watching that is not very gentlemanly of me to do. So please, Stacie, let Randy know that I waited for you. I hung.
But she did make the point that you were much faster than her.
Well, sure, and I'm sure if I did her exercises, she would kick my ass.
I'm pretty sure, yes.
It's what you're used to.
I'm thinking when she's shown had some video clips and talked about some of the activities. I'm looking at that, and it's like, I would die. That's not my type of workout. So tonight we're talking about, of course, taking care of you. And we had Stacie come in because I knew Stacie was going to be talking about more of the group fitness side of it. And Mike, you have just your health and such, you do things just a little bit different than Stacie, and we'll get into that a little bit. But I want to kind of back up a little bit. I've seen pictures of you from young to today type of thing. When did you kind of start to get this, that I need to take care of myself a little bit better so I can be better at what I'm doing?
I was approaching 40 years old. I think I was 38, and I heard a saying that the shape you're in at 40 is the shape you'll be in for the rest of your life. I have seen that attributed to Woody Allen, although it doesn't sound like a very Woody Allen type quote, but
not so much.
Whoever said it, and listen, let's be honest, it's not true. You can change your condition at any age, but the truth to it is that we all know, especially those of us who are older, once you get to a certain age, and 40 I think is a good marker, you have pretty much established the habits that are going to take you through the rest of your life. Now, can you change in your 50s? Can you change in your 60s? Sure, but it's going to be a lot harder. And at that point, I was probably about 40 pounds overweight and doing nothing to, I wasn't exercising at all. I wasn't watching what I ate. And I took that quote to heart, and I said, you got about a year now to get yourself in shape. And I am no Adonis by any means, but I lost a lot of that weight, and I do my best to keep myself in shape. And I'm going to be 56 next month. And I think if you compare me to most 56-year-olds, I'm in decent shape at that age.
Yeah. Did you, when that urge to get in shape, what path did you start down to get to that, to work?
John, the only thing I've ever really enjoyed doing is running. That's it. I will lift weights. I will bicycle ride. I will do other things. Stacie mentioned yoga. My wife is a yoga instructor, so I do take some classes from time to time with her. But the only thing I really, really ever enjoy is running. And that's my advice to anybody, is find what you love. Just, don't lift. If you hate lifting weights, don't become like a jacked up person because you got to lift weights. Find something. It's got to be, you can't go through the whole list and go, well, I don't like anything, so therefore I'm not going to work out. Yeah. But try everything. And for me, it's always been running. It's really the only thing that I enjoy doing. I wish my body could handle it more. For years I was doing marathons, and I just learned I can't do that anymore. I just can't do the 50 miles a week thing anymore. But I still, that's really what I enjoy doing, especially with spring weather coming. When I'm looking at a 55, 60 degree day, I'm like, I can't wait to lace them up and get out there.
So did you run in high school or something, or what brought on that love of running?
I never really ran in high school, but throughout my life, whenever I was like, I got to get in shape, it was always running. I always went out for a run, went to a track, did whatever. The other thing that happened right around that same age, late 30s, was my wife had a very good friend who was running the New York Marathon. And we went into New York City to cheer her on. And I remember standing on the sidelines that day. And if you've ever cheered somebody on in a marathon, especially if it's a bigger one, it's this mass of people running by you. And, you find somebody with their name on their shirt. You go, come on, John, pick it up. You're doing great. Come on. And it's a very inspiring thing to do as a spectator, because you're watching all these runners, especially if you're late, if you're like mile 20 or beyond, you're seeing these people struggling and fighting through the pain, and your cheers are actually helping them. So on the drive home that night, and again, this is me at like 245 pounds. On the drive home that night, I said to Kelly, I'm going to run that next year. And she probably thought in her head, "You're going to do what, fatty?" But she didn't say that. She was like, "Go for it." And I started training, and sure enough, the very next year I ran that race.
So you've had that, you've enjoyed the running side of it and such. Let's talk a little bit about injuries, because that does happen. Have you had any
Yeah, I have run
injury?
myself into a few. Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
I mean, I had to get Achilles surgery about 10, 12 years ago. I also, the very last marathon I ever ran, I basically ran myself into a broken leg. I started it out with a stress fracture and didn't realize it. I probably wouldn't have run the race. And at about mile 22, it went from like a 3-level pain to like an 8-level pain.
Mm.
And of course, I finished because I'm an idiot. And I wound up in a cast for about a month and a half. Yeah.
So due to injuries, if the running has been kind of a major or a consistent part of your life, you hit these injuries. I mean, that's got to take a mental toll on you. And let's kind of talk about the mental side. That the
Yeah, it does frustrate me. I just sprained an ankle recently on a run. I just, running, turned an ankle, I misjudged a curb and turned an ankle. Fortunately, it wasn't too bad. I was only laid up for about 10 days. But when I posted that on Facebook, I forget who it was, but somebody replied, "Hey, I never turn an ankle sitting on my couch." And it frustrates me a little bit that I have, in the last 15, 17 years, I've chosen to try to get myself in better shape. And that has helped, but it has also led to some injuries. But listen, I think if you choose any kind of activity in your life, there's a risk that comes along with that. I think the reward is worth the risk. But yeah, there's also risk in sitting on the couch and doing nothing, because you're much more likely to have a heart attack. So I'll take my sprained ankles from time to time in lieu of a heart attack. Thank you very much.
when you're in the midst of those injuries and you're wanting to do something, you get that itch to you don't like to be sitting around all the time. How do you keep the positive mental attitude? Because it can be, especially when you had that the Achilles thing, you were out for quite a while.
Yeah, it can be tough. You find another way to burn the calories. One of the things I have found is that running makes me a better person throughout the day, because I do have some energy inside me that if I don't expend it from working out, it can manifest itself in short temper sometimes, or frustration. Like Kelly has said to me when I'm laid up, she said to me a couple of times, "Man, I can tell when you're not working out." Just because I have a little bit more energy, and it doesn't always come out in the greatest way. So you find another way to get rid of it, whether it's lifting weights or doing something else, until you can get back to what you love doing. But yeah, man, staying positive is one of the biggest challenges that we face in our career, whether it's through injury or for any other reason. And I think it's something that we all have to embrace and recognize, the fact that our chosen career, and it's not the only one, but it's one of the few where our head level is just as important as anything else. And so you have to respect that and monitor it, and make sure that you're doing things for up here as much as you are physically, or else you can break down emotionally. I know a lot of people that burn out, not because of the physical toll that this career takes on them, but because of the mental.
Mm-hmm. Have you found that by being more active on a regular basis, especially when you're training for an event, because there's a level of motivation I see in your running and in your posts when you're training for something, have you found that has helped carry that positive mental attitude that is in the running carries over into the other aspects of your life?
Absolutely, especially once you achieve something. I mean, I remember when I ran that first marathon, and I've done 14 since then, but that very first one was like, wow, you did that. If you could do that, what else can you do? And what else can you never say, "Oh, I can't do that"? I mean, once you start eliminating things in your life, because so many things in our lives we don't do just because we think to ourselves, "Oh, I can't accomplish that." But once you remove that, and once you say, wow, I did this, so therefore I bet I could do this, or I bet I could at least try to do that, it opens up a world of possibility.
Stacie mentioned that working out is just something that she does every day. Just she has to do it, and she has to do it every day. In your situation, you're by yourself and you're not going to a club and you haven't paid the membership. You're out there on the road running or wherever you're going. How do you motivate yourself on those days when you look out the window and it's like you're just not feeling it?
John, I don't know. I don't know that there's this one specific answer to that. But I a lot of times I literally will look myself in the mirror. Especially one of the big things for running is when it's raining out. You look outside and it's kind of gross, and you're like, oh, God, do I really want to put on all the clothes and run? And then sometimes I'll look myself in the mirror and go, what are you going to melt? Like, really? What, what I mean? You're not going to melt. You just go out there and do it. And the one thing I do find is when I run in the worst weather and the worst conditions, it makes me appreciate. Like I said, I can't. Tomorrow is my running day. I run every other day, so I'm looking at the forecast, and tomorrow here in Jersey it's going to be like 58 degrees and partly sunny. That is picture perfect running weather. I can't wait. I'm probably going to do a 5-miler tomorrow just because the weather is supposed to be so nice. So, but you don't appreciate that unless you run in the 95 degrees and humid and the 25 degrees and windy and the 40 degrees with the driving rain. You can't really appreciate the nice stuff unless you suck it up and do the bad stuff.
Yeah, very true, very true. You get out there and, maybe the motivation is somewhere low for the day. How do you get yourself to get out there and push yourself once you start? I mean, okay, you're going to do 4 miles. You could do 4 miles at a 9-minute pace. You could do 4 miles at an 8-minute pace. How do you get yourself to go pushing towards the 8-minute more than a 9-minute?
And John, sometimes because I'm not currently training for a race, so my speed time doesn't really matter that much. There are some runs where I just go do it. Doesn't matter the pace. Just sometimes the biggest accomplishment of any workout is just that you did it. It might not be the most glorious, it might not be the fastest, you might not lift as many weights as you usually do, or whatever your chosen workout is. But sometimes, especially when you're having one of those down days and you don't feel great and you just want to skip it, sometimes the biggest accomplishment is that you didn't skip it. And you take pride in that. You take pride in the fact that, another me might have stayed on the couch or stayed in bed for an hour, but I got up and did it. And you should be proud of that.
For sure. Influencing the people around you. Obviously, Kelly is active with being a yoga instructor, but you've got staff, you've got friends and different things that you have engaged with and know that you're doing the running and different things and you're taking your health seriously. How that influencing of other people, is that something you try to do a little bit, or you just let that happen?
I think a lot of it has to do with the people that I surround myself with. They oftentimes motivate me as much as I motivate them. Marcello and I are great friends, and he is in way better condition than I am. So, when I have an opportunity to run with him or work out with him, that motivates me. I think my friend Dave Mace is on here. Dave and I are often running buddies, and especially years ago when we were doing a lot of 5Ks together, inevitably, like, he would beat me one race, and then the next race I would work harder and beat him, and then the next race he would work harder and beat me. And that kind of motivation. I've run with Jay Sims, Jay from Chicago.
Oh, yes.
Right? Jay is way faster than I am, so just getting an opportunity to run with him, even though I know he's slowing down for me, just like I slowed down for Stacie. It's surrounding yourself. Ron Michaels, another good friend of mine from Colorado, who I love running with. I don't know that I motivate people as much as sometimes they motivate me.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about, for people who are out there and they're hearing the discussion and they're like, I need to make a change in my life. How would you recommend if somebody came up and said, "Hey, Mike, I need to get healthier. How can I get started?"
Well, I guess we should always begin a conversation like this with, consult your doctor. Don't just try to do stuff that especially if you're in really bad shape. Going out and trying to run a 3-miler is probably not the best idea. But if your doctor gives you an all go, I would say start slow and find, like I said a few minutes ago, find something that you really do enjoy, and hopefully you can find something that you wake up in the morning sometimes and go, oh, I can't wait to do this. Because the worst kind of workout is where you're like, oh, I got to do this morning, because then you're going to find an excuse.
There's always so many other things that'll pop up and like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
I have to go let the dog out again.
Right.
Training with someone. Now, you mentioned, of course, Marcello, you've gone, and I've seen some videos when you guys put some videos up of the two of you out doing some things, and yeah, he's an animal. He definitely is. But training, is that something that you enjoy doing, is to train something, or are you more of a kind of a loner when you're out there running, or prefer that?
I do enjoy it. I like I'm a goal-oriented type of person. I set a lot of goals for myself that are just self-imposed, annual miles, annual workouts, things like that, because those keep me on track. I know, like, this year I'm running 500 miles. That's my goal. I did it last year. I accomplished it. I actually exceeded the goal by 50 miles. So that breaks down to 42 miles a month. I know I have to run 42 miles a month. And what that does is that gets me, right now I've got 10 days left in March. So I know what I need to do to get myself to that marker. Some people don't need that kind of motivation. Some people, I've run with Marcello and he doesn't even care about his pace and the time, but I do. There's plenty of times where I'm running, and at mile 3, I'm at an 8-minute and 32-second pace. So I know, oh man, if I push it for this last mile, I can get under 8:30. Or if I'm at an 8:10 pace, I'm like, man, if I push this last mile, I can get under an. And I wouldn't know that unless I heard it in my ear. I use a running program that gives me my overall pace, and I cared about it, and I do. When I'm even if I'm not training for a specific race, those numbers excite me. Or sometimes if I run 4.5 miles and I go, oh, you know what, I can push it and do an extra half mile to get to 5. So it's a number that helps motivate me.
So you've got your annual number, the goal, and things with the total miles, but are you kind of trying to have goals for your splits, or you've talked about having the negative splits? I've seen you write about that a little bit. Is that something that you are trying to do on a regular basis, or is that one of those things that just kind of happens once in a while? Or?
It comes and goes, John. Currently, I sprained my ankle 3 weeks ago, so I'm back running, but it still feels a little. It doesn't hurt, but it feels a little balky, if you will. So right now, I'm not pushing it. My last few runs, I've just been like, whatever. I'll run a 9-minute pace. I'll run a 9:15. It doesn't matter. Once this ankle is completely healed up, I do. The lower I get in the 8s excites me, and when I can break an 8-minute mile at this point in my life, I feel really good about it.
Let's talk a little bit about diet and eating healthy. I mean, you mentioned that for 56, you in really good shape for a 56-year-old. Running is obviously part of that, but you obviously must kind of watch a little bit about what you're eating.
I wish I was more disciplined with that, but yes, I do. I'm not a gaboon. I haven't eaten fast food in forever. Fortunately, I don't have a sweet tooth, so I don't even like things like soda and sweet juice and things like that. So, I guess I'm fortunate that way, that I'm not as tempted as some people are by things that are just horrible for you. But yeah, I mean, if I didn't like cheese as much as I do, and I didn't go for pizza and lasagna as often as I do, I'd probably be in even better shape. But part of my mentality, to me, food is one of the great joys in life, and I don't want to live a life of denial. So part of my motivation to work out is to feel like, okay, so I burned 700 calories this morning on my run, so therefore I can enjoy a little bit extra. When I don't work out is when I go, okay, Mike, you better be pretty good today diet-wise, because you didn't burn any calories.
Sure. How important is this whole process of being active and exercising and keeping healthy? When your spouse is working in that area, Kelly does those types of things, and she keeps herself in very good, fit shape. How important is that for your success?
You talked about motivating people. I think Kelly and I both motivate each other. We just had a 10-day vacation to Jamaica about a month ago, and Kelly got up, I think 8 out of those 10 mornings and worked out with her online class, and I went for a run on the beach. And I don't, I think if one of us had been like, we're on vacation, who cares about working out? The other one might have said, yeah, who cares? But the fact that she was doing it, then I was doing it, or I would do it, then she would do it, I think it became like a flywheel of motivation for the two of us.
Sure. Yeah, that kind of a support back and forth would definitely be advantageous.
John, it's just like couples who smoke and then one of them wants to quit smoking. It always shocks me that they both, when I see that kind of situation, I go, wait, you're not both going to quit smoking? Like, first of all, how can the one quit when the other person's still smoking away? And how can the other person keep smoking when they're like, wait, my partner's doing it, why don't I do it? So, yeah, I think if you can find somebody significant, if you have a significant other who likes activity as much, even though it's not the same, like Kelly hates running, so we don't enjoy the same type of activity, but at least we both, in the mornings, sometimes she'll come back from the gym, and if I don't feel like working out, I go, oh, Kelly just came back from the gym. What am I going to do? Sit this one out? You know what I mean? And probably vice versa.
Yeah, a little peer pressure there.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Oh, that's funny. Talk a little bit about how you're being, active, stronger, healthier with your physical makeup now has affected your performance on Saturday night when you're doing weddings and such.
Yeah, I try to remember back to when I was 40 to 50 pounds heavier than I am now. I used to have a lot of back pain and knee pain. And by hour 3 of an event, I'd be like, oh, God, I don't even want to stand up anymore. And even though I'm almost 20 years older than that guy, I don't feel those things anymore. I'm a lot more active at my events. I dance around a lot. And by hour 3, I'm still feeling good. And I'm not phoning it in by hour 4 because I'm hurting or tired. So I just, I think for any DJ, for the performance aspect of it, forget about the health aspect and living longer and everything else, but just for the performance aspect of it, that should be enough of a motivation that you are an entertainer and your energy level matters. And, I do this thing every once in a while when I walk into a grocery store. If I see like a 40-pound bag of potatoes, I just pick it up and I carry it around for about 10 minutes and then I put it back. Because I just want to remind myself, this is what you used to carry around, just spread out all over your body in extra fat cells. But it's a good reminder for myself to never get back to that person.
My variation of that is to go over when we're in the ice cream section at the store and, the gallon, and it's like, yeah, I would have had like 4 of these.
Right.
And it's like, where did you have that? What? It's like,
yeah, where did it all go?
Yeah.
Because you can't burn it all off.
That's just, those funny things. So I've wondered this a couple of times, and I've seen pictures at shows and you have an assistant with you, a younger assistant, usually in their 20s, somewhere in that ballpark. How often is it when you're at the end of the night that you're still bouncing and bebopping a little bit and the 20-year-old is starting to suck wind?
Sometimes, John, I'm actually pretty proud of that. It's funny. I laughed when you were saying that because I worked with a young man this past weekend and somebody asked if he was my son. And we were figuring it out on the drive home. I'm 55, he's 25. So, biologically, he could very well be my son.
Yeah.
But, I am proud of the fact that most of my staff is younger than me. Everyone on staff, I'm sorry, is younger than me. And yet I think I could compete physically with pretty much everybody on staff. Tom Monaco can lift more weights than me. Like I said, Dave Nace and I are pretty close comparatively when he's running and I'm running. But I like the fact that there are people who are so young that they could be my biological son, and I can keep up with them. I think that's a nice motivation.
That is a nice little tidbit.
Yeah.
Mike, we got a couple minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about how, and this may not have anything to do with physical activity and such. Let's talk about handling stress. Our jobs are stressful. What
Absolutely.
have you found to be some things that will help alleviate that stress in life?
So I think first and foremost is what I just mentioned. Kelly and I came back from a 10-day vacation. You need to have regular vacation, regular getaway. I talk to too many people who I say, when's your next vacation? And they go, I don't know. Maybe, I might try to get away. No. Especially in our business, you have to block dates off a year to 2 years in advance, or else your schedule is going to get booked and then you can't go on vacation. And the Monday through Thursday vacation, that's just a long getaway. That's not a vacation. I consider 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, those are real vacations. Vacations do three things, John. The actual vacation itself is a wonderful break from your norm and everything else. But just having a vacation on the calendar will help you avoid burnout, because like 2021 for me was one of my busiest years ever. We did all of those 2020 makeup, weddings that were plowed into last year. One of the things that helped me get through last year was knowing Kelly and I had this 10-day vacation booked. We're going to Jamaica in the beginning of February. So there were times where I was like, how am I going to get through this year? And I was like, you're going to be in Jamaica in February, Mike. And then the third thing that vacations do are great memories. Sometimes Kelly and I just look back on, hey, remember 8 years ago when we were in Spain? Remember 10 years ago when we were in Ireland? So, great vacations, there are three benefits of them, and people need to prioritize that. And besides vacation, just having at least one day, if not two, in your calendar where you just, my day is Tuesday. I don't go in the office on Tuesday. Now, that doesn't mean I don't work at all. I might make a phone call from home or answer some emails. But for the most part, my Tuesdays, especially in the beach season, my ass will be on the beach in Asbury Park for as long as I can stand it in the sun. And those days are important to me. And I think we all need to be very strict about blocking off time and honoring the fact that you need this in order to perform at your best.
So really, your beach time is Mike's me time is the best.
It really is, yeah. John. It very much is. And I know I'm a better person the other 6 days of the week because I had that day. And I know that I'm a better person since coming back from Jamaica because I had that 10-day getaway. And by the way, Kelly and I have our next one planned. We're going to be in Portland, Oregon. We're going to be in Oregon in September and October. We're going for 10 days. So we already have our next one planned that we can start looking forward to, that we can start making plans for. And we're super excited about that. So if you don't currently, and I'm not talking about you specifically, but anyone tuning into this, if you don't currently have your next vacation planned, get it planned.
Good advice. Mike, my friend, we got to wrap here. Thank you very much for being on and sharing your story with us for us tonight.
John, I want to thank you for inviting me with this topic, because this is a very important topic to me, and I hope it is for the people who are tuned in. And I think you did a great job selecting the people. Stacie was a great choice, and I know Mitch is following me, and he's undergone a transformation that is pretty significant. I haven't seen him. I can't wait to see him. I will soon. But
looking forward to that.
Thank you for thinking of me and having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Mike. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes with Mitch Taylor. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Everybody, welcome back. It's like a scene change. It's like they go away and then they come back, and it's like, wait a minute, those were not the people that were there a moment ago. No, we are not. And John Young. I'm Dan Carpenter. So hi everybody. Nice to be with you. And of course, we've got Mitch which you might not recognize, dude. This is like the first I've seen you. You are looking fantastic.
Well, thank you. I notice it, but I don't notice it as much as a lot of people have noticed it, I guess, which is interesting to me. But thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, we're friends on Facebook, so like I've seen pictures and I knew there was stuff going on, but I don't know, like something's different in like seeing you here than the other places. So
yeah, well, thank you. It's been a transformation, and I love the topic that you have tonight, Dan. I think mental and physical health, especially, just all the things we've dealt with, not even the last, since the pandemic, of course, but with, I don't know, just so many things have happened in my life as of late, as of the last 3 to 5 years, even. Honestly, it's been probably 3 to 5 years for me, that it's just been wake up call,
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, that's a big deal. So where do you want to take this tonight? We're mental, physical health. What do you want to start with first?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead. Let's go for the shorter of the two, and we'll use this as kind of a segue as well. Since the previous two had been talking about physical, let's talk just a little bit about the physical, and then let's transition to talking more about the mental, because I think that is definitely a new direction that we definitely need to touch on, especially tonight.
For sure. So physical health, I'm a big fan of Mike Walter. Mike Walter, I consider a good friend. I've stayed at his house before. Mike is big on the training, and I think that's important. And I encourage everyone to get out and do, even if it's just the step tracker thing on your phone, whatever. I try to get in certain amount of steps a day for sure, to be sure that I'm getting at least some exercise, not just sitting here at the desk, sedentary all day. That's part of the problem with our society, I feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, so look at those steps. For me, another part for the physical side was the transformation. And for me, it was, I hit a weight, and I'm like, I have to go. I'm be real with you right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go to a 50R jacket.
Mm.
For me, that was like 50? Really?
Mm-hmm.
And then I hit, other thing, and I'm like, okay, my shirts aren't fitting right, and I got to go to a double XL, and I'm winded, and I'm just like, I recently found out about my dad and his health condition and what he's dealing with, and I lost one of my best friends in the world to liver cancer 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And so another good friend of mine, one of my closest friends in the world, has another situation similar. And so all these things are wake-up calls. And I saw someone post the other day, they made a comment about, well, hey, your check engine light comes on at 50 for your body, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
If you're eating the double quarter pounders, like, 4, 5, 6 times a month, whatever the case is, yeah, that might happen. But it doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. Please don't get me wrong. But I would prefer to live for today and plan for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me is huge. Because we as a society, I'm going to riff for a second, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
We as a society, we preach, oh, work hard, bust your butt. I almost said, I don't know if I can say ass or not. I guess I just did.
Just don't tell John. We're okay.
Bust your butt, work hard, save for retirement. You can enjoy your golden years.
Yeah.
About that.
But then we also,
you don't get your golden years.
Exactly. We spend too much time just living for the moment without ever thinking about, like, could we make it there?
you may not make it there. We spend too much time busting our humps and schlepping gear and, getting that next sale and worrying about these clients. Hey, guess what? Newsflash. Guess what?
What?
Your clients, more than likely, the vast majority of the clients you serve are not going to be at your funeral.
Yep.
Who are you giving up your Saturdays for?
Yeah.
Who do you need to be healthy for?
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is the biggest thing. It's like, so for me, it's my wife was on this program for a while, had seen results, and then she tried to get me to join, and I'm like, I don't know. It's like I work the late nights, it's like I like my pizza, I like my, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I hit that wall, and it was like, I'm sitting here I'm going to be frank, I was at 271 pounds. And I think for a guy, I carried it. I like to.
Yeah, I would not have
carried it
guessed that weight
well.
for you.
I'd like to think I carried it well.
Yeah.
I probably didn't. But I'm pretty close to being in 220s again right now.
Wow.
So the fact that I'm damn close to being in 220s again right now is good.
Yeah.
My initial goal I set for myself was 225. To get back 225, maybe even 215. Maybe.
Keep pushing. You can get there.
You never know, So for me, it was about finding that shift and finding something that works for you. And I think that is key.
Mm-hmm.
Finding something that works for you. Because what I do may not be right for Dan Carpenter. It may not be right for John Young. It may not be right for Mike Walter, right? And so I feel like I'm in control of a lot of things. I manage a lot of different details for Tailored Weddings, for another entity that I'm a part of now, for other groups that I help run, whether it's Midwest DJs Live or other organizations, right? And so there's a lot of hats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to think about my food consumption. I don't want to think about my nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that this program kind of gave me, you eat this, then you eat this, then you eat this, then you eat this, then, and then you do a nice healthy meal, and then you get another snack at night. Okay. Okay. Let's see if it works.
Yeah.
And it has. And so it's a program my wife is a coach for, and I use that term really loosely, because she has a full-time career.
Yeah.
Works round the clock virtually from home, doesn't have a ton of time, but yet she has a few people that she talks to about it and that kind of thing. And so she's not hardcore. She's not going to be the person to call you up and be like, hey, you need to do this, or that kind of thing, get people started. I talked to a gentleman today who's interested in getting started because he's seen the change,
Mm-hmm.
For me. I think it's mostly my face where I've seen.
But I mean, that's definitely where it's noticeable here because that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. For sure. And this. So I don't know. Maybe you're like me. Maybe you're not. You couldn't see these. Maybe you can. This is lemon water. Okay. This is like Nestle Splash lemon water. So drink 6 of these a day, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Regular water, I just is like, regular water, like, but having something, a little bit of taste to it, that helps me.
Yeah.
And hydration, I think, is really important. Mike Walter told me something years ago that I wish I had adhered to, and I didn't. I finally done it now, and that was the shape you're in at 40 years old will be the shape you're in for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't hit that goal. I'll probably hit it by the time I'm 50, but I'm not there yet. So we'll see.
And the key, he brought that up in his speech before you, or his presentation before you. And exactly the thing that he said was, that was something he realized when he was 38. And so it gave him that push, to be, and he didn't make it by 40. It was after 40.
Yeah.
And so for those of you that are watching this, that are in that same boat where it's like, listen, I'm not making it by this point, that is not necessarily the be all end all.
No, and it's not. And if you don't make it, you know what? This is, I don't want to transition to the mental yet, but tomorrow's a new day.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't make it yet, tomorrow's a new day. And the other thing I believe in too is moderation. Did I go hardcore on this plan for the first, I started it, you're going to laugh. I started this plan Thanksgiving week. Oh, that was smart. The worst week to start this plan, right? Thanksgiving week. Oh, let's load up Thursday,
And then you got the Christmas cookies.
Yeah, of course. All that stuff is around, right? All that stuff is around. But I didn't, again, everything in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
You're not sitting there eating, Pringles out of a bag or the can or whatever. You know what I mean? You're not going hardcore at the office Christmas party and mounting down a plate of cheese curds, we're, near Wisconsin, cheese curds are popular here. So
I've heard of those things. So we knew what you meant.
Yeah. So, so everything in moderation, my wife and I heard Mike speak about vacations, and I'm very much a vacation trip guy. I have one a month, I think, not vacation, but trips, summer vacations, a couple trips in there too, but planned like once a month for the next, 5 months. It's insane. But to me, travel is important. I feel variety is the spice of life. Travel definitely inspires me. And I think getting out and experiencing different cultures, different people, different, sensory clicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are important for that too. And taste buds, right? So I'm not going to deprive myself being on the road. The plan I have is very compatible to being on the road. Not a problem at all. Very easy to do. But yet it's also, I'm going to indulge what I want to indulge. Like in Vegas, we went to Vic and Anthony's Steakhouse. I'm sitting down eating dinner with Jeremy Breck and Joe Bunn and Randy Bennett and a few other people. And, I had a lobster bisque. I had, some Caesar salad, and I had a nice steak dinner. I didn't worry about it. You know what I mean? I'm like, because again, life is too short, right?
Yep.
I'm going to enjoy now. And again, I'm not going to hog wild. The rest of the day, I stayed on my plan where I wanted to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for the dinner, I indulged a little bit,
I've often heard the best, the for lack of better terms, the diet plans or the nutrition plans, we'll call them that, but probably is a better way to do it. The nutrition plans that tend to work the best long-term for people are the ones that actually have sometimes have a cheat day or like a cheat meal built in. Yeah. So that you can have those moments. And so if you knew that dinner was coming up, you just say, okay, well, if my cheat meal's normally on Sunday and this was going to be a Tuesday afternoon, then I adjust for that.
Yeah. And to me, it's not a big deal. I came back from Vegas, no weight gained. I didn't lose any, I didn't gain any.
Mm-hmm. That's a win in Vegas.
It's a win to me. It's a win.
Absolutely.
Same thing with this last vacation to Florida. We went out and did pasta one night. I had pasta. I didn't, I'm not going to sit here and I'm going to have my salad,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's more the food side. So it's basically fuelings, you eat fuelings, every 2.5 hours is the plan. About 100 calories or so ish every 2.5 hours. And then roll into a meal that night and do a healthy meal. Try to get some protein, try to get some greens, and balance that out. Obviously, a lot of people do big plates and big portions, and that's where you get into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You can't out train bad nutrition.
Right.
And I think that's a big mistake that people make. I'm all for working out, walking, running, everything, Mike preached and other people preach. But if you're eating pizza and bonbons all day, you're not going to fix that with an hour in the gym.
No, not even close.
That gym membership is costing you money versus helping you get what you want out of life. So can't out-train bad nutrition. Did I lose you? Oh, Dan. Hello?
I'm
You
here.
back?
Oh, it's me. It's me.
You?
I'm here, but it's
All good.
I'm here. We're good. We're good. Just keep
Let's
rolling.
give you-
Just keep.
Let's give you the mental break.
Yes, because I just need it after that happened there.
All right. So, holy cow. Where do I start? The mental side to me is more important, if not equally important, if not more important. Because to me, everything starts with your mind. Everything starts with your mind. You know, before you're going to eat, you're going to think about what you're going to eat. You're going to decide to reach your hand into that bag. You're going to decide to do one or the other meal tonight, right? Everything begins with a thought.
Mm-hmm.
So the mind has to be right first. And I remember speaking and doing creative consultations, and I've done that seminar. That was the precursor to my book, Sales for Event Pros. I did that seminar back in 2011, I think, 2010, something like that, for John and other entities, right? And I did the opening of that presentation. I gave creative consultations. I talked about daily affirmations, and I think that's really important, you know, to have daily affirmations. But I find ourselves, especially in today's society, where the ding and the buzz and the notification and the phone call and the email pop and the buzzer and we get overloaded, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that sensory can just overload our brains. We get overwhelmed, and you're spinning the plates, and you're spinning all the plates, and how do you keep them going? And you get this anxiety that just sits on your shoulders, and just, you know, not to mention if you are the head of the company and you have multi-talents like I do, or like Mike does, you got more mouths to feed beyond just
Mhm.
yourself and beyond just your family. You got however many other people, you know? And so that's a lot of pressure. And to say nothing of relationships
Mhm.
that can hit you with pressure, kids, marriages, business partners, whatever it is, you know?
Mhm.
And then, so how do you manage that? What are the daily affirmations for us here in 2022? Like, it's not getting up necessarily and reading. Maybe it is for some. I know others, the books just don't work. For me, what I found that works, there's an app, and it's called I Am. It's a daily affirmations app. And I love it because I was going through some mental stuff, stress, things like that over, you know, last year or so, just with different things going on. And you can choose what subjects that app will speak to you about in a positive way. And so maybe that prevents you by having that notification pop up and flash across your phone. Maybe that prevents you from doing something. Here's, I don't know if you probably can't see
Nah,
that.
it's all bright.
It's all blurred. Yeah. Oh, here, hit for a second.
Oh, there we go.
I'm true to myself. Okay, that's one. So there's lots of these that pull up. And maybe it's just a quick trigger that stops you from doing something that you otherwise would not have done, but it allows you to really focus in on what's important. Like I said before, right? All these people that you work with or for are probably not going to be there for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
As much as I believe in what I have built in a company and as an industry and as everything. I believe in it. Please don't get me wrong. I do. I'm very, very passionate about that. But as I get older, I realize, I miss some things for my son. I miss some things from my daughter. And they're the ones that are going to be there for me.
Yeah.
And so that's part of this. So that app has been helpful for me. You may have seen me post daily quotes as well, on my Instagram or Facebook. Those also help. And I think that's a big part of it. I absolutely agree with Mike regarding vacations. To me, you always need to have a vacation planned. And I've seen the quotes too. People sometimes have quotes that say, I've seen this one, you shouldn't need a vacation from your daily life. I can kind of get the sentiment.
Yeah.
But to me, I grew up in a town of 450 people, in a very small town. And so to me, it was like, got to get out and see the world, got to get out and see what else is beyond this town with no stoplight, with no, nightlife, with no, activities, so to speak. And that to me was important, to get out and beyond and see the world. I was 19 years old. I had never been on a cruise ship, never been to the West Coast, never been on an airplane before. Did it all in a matter of 2 days. And so that was a big stepping point for me to learn to love travel. And part of why I travel as much as I do now. But so mental side to me is important. And when you have those moments where you feel that stress is just pounding down on you with the anxiety of everything going on, I think the best advice we can give ourselves is 2 things. It's breathe. Just focus on your breathing and get to a point where you can focus on that, in and out and in and out. And the second one is the world. Did you die? That that movie, I forget what movie that's from, who's that actor? I can't think of his name right now, but that quote of, but did you die? Right.
Yeah.
And that's the sentiment. It's like, if it's not the end, it's not the end. And I think that's a big part of it too, that mentally we have to understand. People have gone through a lot in life. I'm blessed that we could sit here. I could sit here in a relatively warm home, talk to you over technology, 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles, whatever the heck it is away, right? We're broadcasting to however many people here tonight, and however many more people will see this later. How awesome is that?
Yeah.
My life does not suck.
No.
Your life does not suck. And stop comparing, your life to someone else's highlight reel on social media.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. It's the highlight reel. It's the best of that day, that week, that whatever. And the problem is, you see the great, you don't see the ugly behind the scenes. And there's a lot of ugly behind the scenes for all of our lives. Not me, not just you, not just, anyone, right? You know what I mean? We all have our warts, right?
Yep.
And I think we would be well suited to embrace those and not, be shy from them, and not, I get we only want to put out good out in the world. I get that, but just one of those things where that's the process to me, is breathe. It's not the end. It's not the end, but did you die? And then realize that someone else's highlight reel, you're going to have way better moments than them down the road. maybe you've had in the past. Think about those, you know, and other people are going through stuff too. You know, never forget that other people are going through stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think too oftentimes a lot of people end up, you talk about the highlight reel, and that's exactly what we're seeing, but we're also not necessarily seeing what's the truth. I mean, somebody's highlight reel might not even be, the real thing. They're putting out a false front, and the second the camera's off, it's a whole different person. So, those are the things you want to avoid, that comparison. You want to avoid that piece, unless the one thing I would say is don't use it to pull yourself down, but if you use it to give yourself motivation to, for example, seeing your buddy going out for a vacation, you go, hey, that's a great place, I need to make sure that's one of the places I check out. Giving yourself that push.
Well, and the other thing is, don't put it off. Tomorrow is not promised to any one of us.
Right.
Don't put it off. If you want to do something, do it. Like, we're not promised tomorrow. And that's the other big part of it for me, going back to the retirement thing, right? And some people are like, I'm never going to retire. That's okay. That's great. I think that's awesome. Live your passion every day. Live your passion every day. But some people do want to retire from work and be able to focus on other endeavors, or take the money they've built up over that time frame, live a nice, meager retirement, but be able to give, in retirement, be able to help others with the money they've saved through retirement. And there's no one should have the right to tell us what to do. You know what I mean? It's up to you to have that destiny to choose what you do. But retirement is not promised either. And so that's where it's like, you need to live today, plan for the future, but live today. Oh, did I lose you again, Dan?
It looks like
we froze again. Goodness. It's all
there
good.
He
there he's back.
Now he's back.
I got the new computer. So, and it I didn't get everything installed because it came like yesterday afternoon. So
it's all good. And the other thing I want to say is this man, where am I?
Other side, other corner. There you go.
Man, Bob Powell.
Mm-hmm.
I got this shirt today from Bob Powell. Bob, if you're watching this, thank you. I got a chance to hug Bob Powell in Vegas. And what that man went through with his time with COVID and being on a ventilator, not knowing if he was going to make it. Last year, Midwest DJs Live started the DJs Loving DJs Fund to be able to help DJs in need when they need it most. And we're not a huge amount of money at all yet. But I confessed to Bob in Vegas that I thought we were going to have to use that money for him. Yeah. And I'm so grateful we did not. So this man inspires me. What he overcame and everything else. I just think it's amazing. So,
and with a smile on his face the entire time.
The whole time. The whole time. Yeah. He lives some Tertius. He lives an attitude of gratitude.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I still remember last year, it was your post actually. That is how I had heard that things were going weird. Like, what was going on? And started reaching out to his family and that, and it was just still is like still in utter shock. I mean, the fact that he's come back and everything's awesome, and like if you can't see the back of Mitch's shirt, it's the comeback tour. right? It's the comeback tour.
I can get it.
No, you're right. You're right. But it's the comeback tour. And so like for Bob, it's, that's the thing. Like he even made some fun about the fact that, the entire process and what he went through so we are very grateful for you, Bob, that the good Lord had a good hand in you and keeping you safe and bringing you through all this.
Amen.
But yeah, exactly. Who knows if that could be, you in that same situation from something, whether it's that or that, COVID or something completely else. It's a matter of, as you said, having those moments and living those moments for the right people and the right reasons. And keeping that perspective.
You have to get your mindset right, because without the proper mindset, you're going to spiral negatively downwards. And you have to get your nutrition right. You have to set your body up. You only have one body. It's not like a piece of gear. You can't go out and buy another one. Oh, this new model's coming. Oh, your wife might not like that. You know what I mean? You only have one body. You have to take care of it. So, and again, what's that line in that song? Kenny Chesney has a line in one of his songs. Body's a temple. That's what we're taught. I treated this one like an old honky tonk. Those are the lyrics. And I'm like, yep. Uh-huh. Guilty. But now it's on a different path and keeping it up. You know what I mean? Drink the waters. Affirmations. It's important.
Absolutely. I'm sure some people, I didn't quite, I was trying to look over in the corner and not cause my computer freeze anymore, but I'm sure some people have asked, or curious, like you said, you have to find the program that works for you.
Yes.
But would you name drop what is the program that you're on so people can at least look into it more for themselves?
Yeah. And if someone wants to get involved, hit me up. I'm happy to put you in contact with my wife. It is kind of a coaching thing where you sign up through a coach to get set up with it. It's Optavia is what it is. Okay. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. But again, for me, because I'm a very focused person and everything else in my life, like I finally want, in those realms and other realms of my life, I like to be told. Believe it or not, who knew? And even though I'm a very strong personality in a lot of other ways, right? Some things I just don't want to think about. It's like, do you really want to think about what are we having for dinner tonight? You know what I mean? And dinner, frankly, is the meal that my wife and I usually make. Is the meal but it could be breakfast. Like it totally could be breakfast is the meal that you do. That's a lean, what they call lean green meal. And then maybe it's just dinner you do the fuelings. Your 6:30 fueling or whatever, whatever time that is for you. Your times may be different than my times, right? And so it just depends on what you find works for you. Whether it's this or whether it's something else, find a program that's going to work for you, that's going to help your nutrition and help you achieve the goals you want. We lost Dan again. Nope, he's back.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. So,
yeah.
Well, on that note, Mitch, I want to thank you very much for being a part of the show tonight. I want to be able to, I want to appreciate what you've said for what I heard in between my computer. But by all means, I will say this: Mitch is one of those guys who is genuine and don't like eat up all of his time. But if you do have questions about tonight, by all means, reach out to him. He's more than willing to be that type of person to put you in the right direction and help you out. And whether it's nutrition, like we've talked about tonight, or the sales group with it and the things that he's been doing with that, or other things as well, definitely reach out to Mitch and make use of that. So. Yeah. We will be back. We've got one more weird guy that's going to join us afterwards. So stick around and join us in a few minutes.
All right, we're back for the final session for tonight, and Dan just had to step away. I think he's trying to get his computer restarted, and he'll be back and joining me in just a couple of minutes. Thank you for being with us tonight and watching tonight's show. We have had some great comments in the comment section on Facebook and YouTube, and also out on Twitch. So a lot of you, this is kind of an important topic for a lot of us, not just those of you watching, for all of us. There's some things that we've covered tonight that might ring a bell or might fit you, and there might be some of those things that just aren't. As Stacie started us out, is there's things that work for her that may not work for other people, and that's really a big part of why I wanted to have the variety with the show tonight. Is that there's going to be some people who are going to fit into Stacie, and then more of that group thing where that they're there to encourage and support each other, and then there might be some that are at different levels, and we're doing different things. But the ultimate thing, I think, with all of the shows tonight, all the speakers tonight, Dan, is that they're finding their own path and making it happen. Are you there?
Agreed.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, he's getting so. Oh, let me switch over here.
There we go. Okay.
We're good. Okay. So
We're
Dan,
good
what I really wanted to talk about here in the last the last about 20 minutes here, because then we'll get wrapped up so Howie can come on here. Yeah, probably about 15 minutes. Is I really wanted to kind of talk about, we're at that age, where Mike has talked about, he threw the number out there, that 40, and Mitch talked about, now he'll be getting hopefully to that point of better health by the age of 50. But we're getting to that point in our lives, and you and I aren't great runners. We're not, we're the guys who struggle. And and Stacie's like, she does it every day, and I applaud that, because there's days where, and you've talked about this. There's days when you look at that treadmill or that the exercise bike there, and you're looking at that and you're like, this ain't gonna happen today.
Yeah, unfortunately, things like that, sometimes it feels like it happens way too often. Mm-hmm. We find excuses for it, or things that we don't want to mess with, and we can always kind of convince ourselves that there's never enough time. But you make time for what's important.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons that has sunk in the last, really, for myself, I would go through phases over the years, and work out for a while and then not, and then work out. Yeah. But 2021 has been the longest consistent workout regimen that I have done, really, since high school, probably, and even not even then, because you get the summer in high school and I wouldn't do anything. But it was that just intentionally making time. And as Stacie said, she's like, she loves her watch because she can watch it. And I hate to say it, it might sound like a novelty, but there is a level of it that going and making sure I'm getting the 30 minutes of exercise on, as far as the watch is detecting that much heart rate for 30 minutes a day. That was a motivating factor on those days.
It's funny. My wife is more concerned with that than I am. So she will, like, if she looks down and there's like a minute or two, she'll do laps up and down our hallway until she hits it.
Yes, I have done that after our shows on Monday night. It'll be like, well, guys, I've got to go get 5 more minutes. Isn't it dark there? Yes, it is dark here. I'm going to go down the driveway. But I think what I really wanted to kind of hit is for those out there who are like, okay, Mike runs and Stacie's hitting the gym and such. There are ways to get started, or there's things a person can do, and obviously, as Mike had mentioned, a doctor giving you kind of the okie dokie is that's a big part of it. But to start beyond that, I mean, it's as simple as I was at a Zig Ziglar conference back when I was much younger, and Zig was up on stage and he's talking about how in his life he's a shorter guy, but he was very heavy at the time. And he basically decided he was done being a fat boy, is his words. And he went out and he was going to jog around the block, and he made it as far as, I think, the mailbox the first day. And then the next day he made it to the next neighbor's mailbox. And it was maybe different than that, but the idea was that he started doing something in his case. And I look at that and it's like, okay, that for me that would be almost depressing to be able to only jog that far and then call it, that's as far. So from my standpoint, it was I wanted to go and walk, and I started out on that treadmill. It was winter here in Minnesota in January of 2021. And it was to go out on a treadmill and walk. And I'd set the pace at 2.5 mile an hour pace, something like that, and go and walk for a half hour. The goal is I wanted to do at least something to get that heart rate up for a half hour. My target heart rate is about 120 beats per minute, somewhere in that 120 to 130. I'm at that age where I shouldn't get it above 150 beats per minute for a period of time, because we're there. Yay, we've gotten to that point. So you wanted to keep it around that pace. So that became, after I had gotten a little bit better condition on that treadmill, that became kind of a number that, getting it to that point and then holding it for the period of time. But it's not a quick thing. It wasn't a quick thing. It was something that took several months to build up to that point. And then trying to get into the summer to do a little bit of jogging. It wasn't something that I started walking in January and by March I was jogging. There was no way I could do that because it took time. And being more intentional and doing it daily and going out and taking baby steps. The whole process, as I've talked to the kids, it's been baby steps. In high school, we didn't do that. We just went out and we started running. And 2 weeks later, we were ready for a competition. Maybe not the greatest, but, we were there. It doesn't happen as an adult. Not a bit.
John, did you find as you started, we've talked about some of where you've gotten to with it and where you were at some point, but did you ever kind of really just want, for lack of better terms, want to throw in the towel when it was that walking because of not seeing the results? I think for a lot of people that becomes the hardest, is that I'm going to start this. And you said it was was months before you got to the run.
Right.
Was there like frustration and wanting, for lack of better terms, wanting to fail or give up?
I don't know. There possibly could have been at some point in time, because generally when you're lifting weights, the old rule of thumb is that after 2 weeks, other people, you'll start to notice it, and then after 4 weeks, other people will start to notice when you're lifting weights. At age 51, 2, whatever I was last year, it does. Your body doesn't respond that fast. The aches and pains might be there, but so yeah, you really didn't start to see improvement until probably March. So you're talking 2 months. You could tell because I could maybe walk a little faster. I was seeing that, but you weren't seeing any. I didn't feel like I was losing any weight. I go and I was tracking it, and I started at 252, and it really wasn't until May. May was my first kind of weight drop between March and May. So for that first 2 months, yeah, I could see that. That could have been a huge factor if it wouldn't have been for having a goal. In the back of my mind, I had started a goal. And that's something Mike had referred to earlier too, and I wanted to kind of mention or share this. We've talked to goals on shows in different videos and such, but Dave Ramsey actually shared a little graphic about goals that I thought was actually kind of interesting because where is it? There it is. Typically, when we're talking about goal, I can't share because if I share, then Dan can't see it, and you guys can, or you guys can't see it and Dan can. So I'm just going to read it. Typically, when we talk about a goal, as you want to make it something that's specific. So I want to be able to, in my case, to run the Upsella 5K with my kids. Or I wanted to do it. I wasn't sure if I could run it. I wanted to be able to do that with the kids. So I knew that was about a 3+ mile I would have to be able to walk and walk at a decent pace. Make it measurable. Well, either you're going to do it or not. That's good, but you want to make a goal that's measurable. Give yourself a time limit. Well, I said it that I wasn't going to do it in the future. It was going to be that August one. And then, of course, you put it in writing. Those are generally the 4 steps of doing a goal and having a goal be successful. The part that Dave Ramsey added in there is to make sure it's yours, that you own that goal. And that's actually something I think that sometimes that when we're dealing with things like health and you've got family members giving input, sometimes that if it's not your goal, it's easy to get down on it, or as you're saying, is to get depressed about not seeing the progress. And I really liked that idea because in that particular case, it was my goal to run that or to do that event with the family. And yeah, the family were all there and they did it and such. But if it would have been, that maybe if one of the kids was like, Dad, it would be nice for you to run with me, I don't know if that would have been more motivating or less motivating. I don't know. Or if it would have been, I shouldn't say less motivating. Don't know if it would have been more motivating or motivating enough to keep me on. I don't know. I would like to think it would have been more motivating, but I know myself, sometimes I can be lazy. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, there's chocolate pie and there's a couch. Let's eat pie and take a nap. That sounds appealing sometimes, unfortunately.
Or man, my throat's hurting. I need some ice cream for it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that has been, you mentioned cheat days or cheat situations with Mitch, and that became kind of an ongoing thing because, again, watching the calorie for the watch. So in the morning, my morning about 10:30 would be I'd go out and I'd work out for an hour throughout the summer and fall. And then I'd get, if it was a beautiful day, I'd go out after supper and put on 2 or 3 more miles with the kids. So I'd come in and there were some nights that I was close to 2,000 calories burned according to the watch. And I told myself anytime that I got over 5 or 1,500 calories on the watch, yeah, we're having a scoop of ice cream. And it actually worked out pretty well because, from that May time frame, as I continued to work, there was a continual downward trend. Not fast, but there was a downward trend in the weight. And I could start to see more of, I was walking and doing some light lifting. And you could start to see more muscle development and getting stronger and I like to sleep on my side at night, and because of doing some more shoulder strengthening, I wasn't having the achy shoulder in the morning because I was sleeping on it wrong. I haven't had that because of having those areas stronger. So as the more muscle was developed, having more muscle and different things, that weight gain was slow to go down, but it was still making progress. And even though I was having ice cream, once or twice a week, but it was only a scoop. I wasn't getting crazy. So
I don't know if I could do just a scoop.
I know it's tough.
But that's my crutch.
It's especially when you've got teenagers in the house, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll have a scoop of ice cream, and then they have their bowl that is, it's a cereal bowl, and then it's like, and then here's my little. So I actually got to the point where it's like, just put a scoop of ice cream in my coffee cup because then I don't feel as bad because it looks like the cup is, it's half full.
There you go.
Even though it's not, but the mentality of it. So yeah, for those out there who are just kind of wondering, I think that my biggest thing to encourage you is to find a way, whether it's going for that walk, going if you've got an exercise bike. I know those things are boring. I've had to spend the last 3 to 4 weeks, 3 weeks. I've been on a stationary bike in the living room because I can't get out to my treadmill. So I've been on the stationary bike, Yawnsville, trying to watch some of the shows, but I also have a much better sound system set up out there, so I can watch. I could turn it up. Lori's not working in the other room, so if it gets a little loud and all of a sudden there's a profanity from some show I'm watching that I didn't know would have, I didn't know Ted Lasso was going to have that kind of anyway. So yeah, it's different. It's boring. I get it, but it's that when you get done with it, you're like, yeah, I made one more day. I accomplished that. And now I've got the string going, and I don't want to break that string. Which means some of the mornings of shows where I had to DJ in the afternoon, I was still going out and putting on a half an hour on a treadmill. Just because I didn't want to break that string. So yeah, find a spot, start, and don't let, try your best not to let those little things in life get in the way. That's your time. Take it, use it. And in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, you're all of a sudden going to be seeing so many positives from it. I think that it then will become that addiction, for lack of a better way to describe it, that Stacie's referring to, that she has to. And when she says that, probably a year ago, I wouldn't have been like, what? Today, I can see it. I understand it. Because those first 2 weeks when I was laid up with this knee, that's what got me down the most, is that I was at such a point. And then all of a sudden, you could just see everything dwindle away, and there's nothing. I had to sit there. Here's a chair. Here's my leg in the air, and my knee hurts. Yay. So, So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to encourage people.
One thing I would throw out, and this is something that I was going through my journey is, you know, when you have those days that you miss for whatever happens to be, the life gets in the way, you know, if you're doing a running thing and you twist an ankle or whatever, something prevents you from doing what you're going to do that day. The two things you don't want to do, tell yourself, I'm going to double up the next day.
Yep.
Because then you feel
yep,
then you feel bad about it.
You're gonna hurt yourself.
And then the second thing is feeling that, oh my gosh, I missed a day. Now I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, kind of that same type of idea where you kind of convince yourself that you're not good enough now. And so, you know, yeah, you missed a day. All right. So now let's just pick up the next day as if it was the day you were supposed to do it.
Yep.
And just kind of progress from there. And that was one of the things that really helped me for the longest time when I was doing mine until I completely fell off the wagon. But up until that point, that was really what I started doing, was when I missed a day, it was okay, let's recap, let's refocus and get at it the next day. And that really helped overcome some of those feelings of ineptitude or feelings that I was going to fail on my own, or that I just wasn't good enough to keep this going.
I think it's too easy for us to beat ourselves up when we miss a day, or if we miss 2 days, you know. And as DJs, it's not tough. If we have a Friday and Saturday show and we've got a load on Friday, and I mean, not that I'm here, but business and different things, I don't have that half an hour, or doctor's appointments and then this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, there are a couple of times in 2021 that I had to miss. I think I missed like 7 or 8 days the whole year, but there were a couple of times where it was back to back. Ironically, that. And yeah, after the 2 days, it sucked. You know, you were thinking that there were so many other things. And then that day, that third day, you're like, okay, now I'm busy again. But it became just really trying to be intentional. And yet not beating yourself up for missing those 2 days. It's like, okay, I'm not lamenting the fact that I missed 2 days. I'm acknowledging, okay, I did. And I really want to make sure I'm wanting to hit today. But I'm looking at it as, okay, now I'm starting the next string. Not my ending of the other string. That's whatever. Starting the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're sometimes our worst critics and our worst. We'll belittle ourselves more than anyone would ever know.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, we got Howie. Howie is going to be in the chill room here in just a little bit, and I think there's quite a few folks who are going to jump in there and chat with Howie tonight. Some folks messaged earlier, they're looking forward to hanging out tonight, and we're wondering what his topic was. So, and I don't know what Howie's going to be chatting about tonight, but I'm guessing it's going to probably be something kind of related, because he usually kind of follows the training show. So you'll be able to go in and share and hopefully encourage each other a little bit to just to find ways to live a healthier lifestyle.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anything else we missed, Dan?
Nothing I can think of.
Yeah,
I mean, between the three speakers and then you kind of wrapping up with your own personal journey.
Yeah. Oh, just for anyone because somebody did ask earlier, this is Thursday's week 6, which means crutches over there go bye-bye. Mm-hmm. They go bye-bye. Yeah. So pretty excited about that. For those knee. If you didn't know, I had a meniscus and ACL. ACL replaced, meniscus repaired in February. So we're week 6, still going to have the brace on, but now next week we get to start doing official strengthening activities. So I might be really sore by Monday night, next Monday, but that's okay. That's okay.
That's right. It's a step in the right direction. That's what's important.
Yeah, we're going well, and I got up pain meds about 10 days ago, and for the first 4 or 5 days after that, there were new aches and such that were showing up in that knee. It's like, oh, I didn't realize ibuprofen was kicking that down so much. But boy, in the last few days, it's like when she said 6 weeks to heal, to get it to that point, she's pretty much right on, because it's like it's felt better and better now than the last few days. And it's like, gosh, by Thursday, I might be ready to say goodbye, or say at least only need the crutches for like getting up the stairs as an assistance or something. So we'll see. And such, and good to go. I think. Oh, MJ's up Wednesday night, isn't he?
Yes, I think he said it was going to fall on the 23rd. So
yep.
Yes.
Okay, so Wednesday night we get MJ. So
to join us. So whether you're here for a little bit or whether you're here physically in the whole 9 yards.